the power to change your life, the power to change my life, the power to change our lives. It comes from within, like a mantra. I want you to start considering this because it's going to be very interesting and perhaps pretty revealing and useful along your journey, which is to considerably and to daily remind yourself the power comes from within. So, I want to be more wealthy, the power comes from within. I want to be more successful, the power comes from within. I want to overcome an obstacle, the power comes from within. I want to overcome an addiction, the power comes from within. I want to lose weight, the power comes from within. I want to get over perhaps a bad breakup, a divorce, the power comes from within. I want whatever you want to get over with, or with whatever obstacle you face, whatever problem you face. The solution and the power to that solution comes from within. Now, if you say this like a mantra, it's gonna become very, very powerful. And it becomes a very active force within your consciousness where you start to recognize it whenever you face any issues in general. Most people, when they face an issue, they start to panic, perhaps to a certain extent. They, of course, are aware I need to find the solution. But very rarely people stop and think and say to themselves, okay, I have this issue that I'm facing, and I also know that the power to solve this issue comes from within. And with determination and conviction, by saying that within your consciousness, by feeling the truth in it, well then, the power to overcome that obstacle will be generated from within. So every time I face something in my life these days, it's starting to become more and more clear for me as well, is that by saying the power to solve this comes from within, it's actually turning into a fun game for me personally. Because even I can have issues and then I might forget about looking within myself for the power to overcome it. So you have issues with other people perhaps, and you start to get lost in the conflict, physically speaking, but instead you should say the power to overcome this comes from within. If I have to walk away from this person, the power to do so comes from within, and I will do it. I will make use of this power. Yeah, sometimes you have to walk away from people. I do this all the time. Well, not all the time, but actually as of late, this is also why I've been posting a little less. I've had a lot of drama in my private life with people that I realized I should walk away from, so I did. And then in a way I could feel a little bad. Like, I know they're also on their own journey and sometimes things get bad. We have conflicts between each other as human beings, but sometimes you just have to walk away and understand the power to solve my issues comes from within, and it says walk away. So I will walk away. But that's not the only thing that I've been working on. There's some other issues in general in my life as well that I realized I have to face this, man. I have to do something about this. And then again, I say the power to solve this comes from within. And so I get busy and I get acting on that goal. In fact, a very interesting thing happened is that I set up a weekly meeting with a friend. We started out with just us two. Maybe over time I'll do this with more people, who knows, for different goals. I don't know yet. But to have weekly meetings to brainstorm, to actually have some sort of mastermind talking about your goals and where you stand in life can be very useful in order to keep yourself focused on what you want to go, what you want to do, and where you want to go. Because going about everything on your own, you could try, but sometimes we might overlook certain things that others might perceive more clearly for us, or perhaps we forget about something and then somebody else could remind us kindly about it. This is how you could win more effectively in life, by just working together, by cooperation instead of competition. It's sickening to me, this whole competition. I've had people in my life that would come up to me and then ask for my help, and then I help them out, and then they, for whatever reason, become successful with it, and they become so arrogant and consider themselves better than me, and then suddenly they act like I'm their competition, they're above me. It's like, you know what, man? You can have a nice life doing that shit on your own, but I'm going to keep focusing on my own consciousness and the power that resides within there that will help me achieve what I want. And I can do that without having to brag or drag anyone down or to say that I'm better than anybody else, because I know I'm not. We're essentially at its core all from the same source. Of course, we do have different levels of awareness, and opportunities come to us, and Perhaps some people were born in a very rich family, so things were easier in general. Others of us, most of us actually were born in a middle class or perhaps even poor family, where we had to work a bit more on our goals in order to succeed. But ultimately, again, whatever I face in life, whatever I have to overcome, the power to do so comes from within. You see, that's the whole purpose of this whole message today, is for you to remember that the power that you need in order to change or improve something comes from within. You want some loving relationship, you're lonely perhaps? Well, the power to overcome your loneliness comes from within. First, you start to imagine yourself in what sort of relationship you want to be in. What would be your ideal relationship? If this is what you really want, well, then you should have it, because otherwise you're going to be unhappy, right? I mean, I personally don't really need a partner necessarily in my life to be happy, but many people do. So in that case, again, the power comes from within. First, you start to imagine what your ideal relationship would be like, which is exercising the power from within, and then you'll be able to actually build your life accordingly, or at least pay attention to when that person shows up, because sometimes you miss that. You see, people show up all the time in your life that could perhaps be somebody that you could have a relationship with in this case, and then you're not paying attention to that, and you're overlooking it because you're still too lost thinking about your past lovers, or perhaps about somebody else out of your reach that you think this one should be it, and well, in reality they can't ever be it unless you force them to do it. All this stuff, man, all this stuff seems to be messing with people's heads all over the place. No matter what the situation is, every time we have to remember that the power in order to solve something comes from within. And as long as we understand that, as long as we make use of that, that's when stuff starts to improve for us individually and ultimately for the whole world. Because it is once we start looking outside of ourselves and assuming, well, I have to do something, I have to make sure that this person will help me, or this physical circumstance occurs, then I can finally make something good happen. You see how that takes away your powers, man. I'm not gonna lie. To me, that sounds really devastating almost. It sounds frustrating if you have to live from a place where everything depends on something outside of yourself, when in reality, it first and foremost, it depends on your own state of consciousness, because that is where your true power lies. That is where that power comes from, within. It's your consciousness that will help you achieve what you want, help you improve the areas of your life that need to be improved. But as long as your senses are doing the thinking for you, as long as you're obeying and giving your power over to other people and circumstances around you, well then, you're essentially saying that the power comes from outside of me. And there can come power from outside that helps you achieve your dream, but usually that power is either in the hands of somebody else, so you have to hope that they will keep giving it to you, or it's only going to be briefly. But when it comes from the depths of your own consciousness, you're dealing with a fountain of eternal power that comes from within and that will always be yours. This is the problem, people. This is the problem, is that we're raised not looking at this power that resides within us. We're too much trained to look outside of us. And because society in general is operating like this everywhere in the world, most likely, I have not factually checked this, but I'm assuming that most countries, if not all of them, actually raise everybody from a little child to just live and focus on the outside world. And then it's only in obscurity where we learn, oh, I could learn to focus on within. I have a power within me. And then, because it's so obscure, right? Because this is not that common, it actually makes it more difficult as well to apply it within a society surrounded by people where most people don't look within themselves for the power to overcome their problems. No, they're stressing out over their circumstances and like to gossip and talk drama and complain to each other about the circumstances as they are. But I would say a better way to use your time is to learn about this actual power that resides within you called consciousness, and learn how to work with this power of consciousness so that you too can discover that whatever problem I face, the power to overcome it comes from within. Yes, I've been saying that a lot of times in this video, haven't I? But it's to make a point, to help you at least understand this point that we're trying to make. then if you start looking within yourself for this power, this mysterious power that will be making it possible for you to overcome your obstacles, well then you'll become happier and become more joyous because you'll feel more in control. Actually, you will be in control of yourself and your life. It reminds me of addiction as well. It's an issue I've been facing for a long time in my life. But the more I meditate on the power to overcome this problem of addiction comes from within, the more empowered I feel and the more easier it suddenly is becoming to stay sober for me. And it took me a long time to figure this one out as well. Like, I would always think, oh, I have to forcefully get this substance that I'm addicted to out of my life and just keep it forced out of it. That's how most people go about it, and it might work to a certain extent, but then I realized, wait a minute, the power to overcome this comes from within, in my case as well. So all I have to do is change my mind, change my whole consciousness about the substance and keep it changed, as Emmett Fox would say. Change your thoughts and keep it changed. This is another example of the power that shows you how to overcome your problems. It is all within you. That is where you have to look, and I hope you will start looking there, no matter what you face in life. Alright, well, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing to receive inspirational videos on a regular basis. And with that being said, dear viewer, never forget that we are the dreamers.